Okay, Purdue hosts to a road win. I think there's probably a lot of Purdue fans who are excited to watch this one to see my visceral reaction to how wrong I was. I had Maryland winning this game. I had Maryland covering this game. I coined a new catchphrase, Cart. I coined the phrase that home dogs aren't dogs, they're wolves. And for the record, I'm standing by that phrase because I love that phrase. But Maryland's a dead wolf. That's what happened. They were still a wolf. They're just a dead wolf.
Yeah, I'm not a Twilight guy, but did a wolf die in Twilight?
It sounds like it did for sure.
Okay, well, let's call it that. Like, for a guy for our graphics coming up here, Maryland is the Taylor Lautner of the Big Ten, if one might say. Maryland's really, really bad. I'm sorry I gave that team like credit, like maybe turn the corner, maybe light a fire under them, backs against the wall, Jameer Young. I was one quarter of a way right because Jameer Young realized that his back is against the wall. The wrong part I was that no one else did, including Kevin Willard, including everybody in attendance. There was just nothing there. What's the phrase? Like if you keep doing something, it's like it's not stupidity, it's insanity. I don't know. Go cook me for that Discord, whatever it is. That's what Maryland does offensively. You just keep on doing something that doesn't work over and over and over. And then they get to the under 8 media timeout, and you're like, you know what? Let's do that over again and again. And the only thing that stops it is media timeouts. And that's about it.
Yeah, I feel like Maryland shooting threes is like me eating pizza. Like I know it's bad for me and I'm not going to stop doing it. And like I wonder why I can't crack 190 on the scale. It's like no matter what good progress I put in, I keep eating pizza. Carter, I have a box in my fridge right now that is literally leftover Pizza Hut inside a box of leftover Hungry Howie's. That's what's going on in the Waddell household right now. That's Maryland in their home gym shooting 5 for 22 from three. Like, none of these guys should be shooting. I don't know what they do at practice. I made a joke about it in a tweet, but like, there's no way this team practices offense. There's no way.
No, there's no. I got a theory that they just do like blind taste tests of Old Bay seasoning on different foods, and then after that, they just ask Jameer Young to shoot a couple layups.
Yeah. I think they just spin in circles, honestly. They all look dizzy to me. By
Yeah.
the way, back to Twilight before we forget, I just want to say Braden Smith for sure looks like he would be like a secondary lead in Twilight. Like in the third Twilight movie, Braden Smith's like the hot new high schooler.
Yeah, he would be the best friend of the antagonist
I like
that
that.
eventually comes around. You know what I'm saying? He'd be
Yeah.
that type of character. Also know that this is a Purdue and Maryland recap, but we're gonna eventually have to have a discussion about you having leftover pizza from another place in a leftover pizza box from another establishment.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what to do with that.
Uh-huh.
But just let it be known that it's bookmarked. It will be addressed at a later date. But for a Purdue team that I guess you could say, um, you know, uh, took a team face on and did something that they have not done yet. Like I think it was Melba who mentioned it in our Discord. Like this is the first time that this group has got a win at Maryland for the seniors on this team. So they kind of exercised some demons, I guess. I know it's a stretch to say that because Maryland's bad and Purdue's really good, but they did somewhat exercise their okay, Jesus Christ. I know we're doing this. Marcus Damascus is a bad man, but they exercise some demons in this game in my eyes. And I know it's a stretch, but when you haven't been able to go into the Xfinity Center and get a win, and you go in and you get a pretty, I would say a fairly easy win, that's something you should feel really good about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wholeheartedly agree. We can do the Purdue side of this first. I want to make sure everybody knows, like, to me, the story of this game was much more about who Maryland is than about anything we learned about Purdue. I know that's probably not what Purdue fans want to hear, but that's just my general outlook on this. If you disagree with me, fine. I'm much more excited to talk about the Maryland side of this in about 5 minutes. With that said, I would like to start the Purdue portion card. Do you mind if I have a little quick moment with Purdue fans?
Please.
So I did antagonize you. I don't like doing that. If you've watched me this season, I think I've been one of the louder torch carriers for Purdue fans. I know there's a lot of Purdue fans that carry torches, but I definitely was like out in front with a torch saying Purdue's really good. They're not the same team as last year. This is the number one team in the country, blah, blah, blah. I've done it all off season. I did it into this season. I did it through Maui leading up to this week. And then I jumped off the bandwagon just for this game. And was like, you know what? Maryland's been playing better. Purdue has struggles on the road. Nothing they have done is really that different. I looked up all these numbers, man. Like last year, they didn't blow out anybody on the road. Like all of their road wins even were like 3-point wins against mediocre teams in Big Ten play. And then they lost a bunch of games on the road too. Like they weren't dominant, even though they were a dominant team on the road. I thought Maryland was above the bar of horrible in order to make that a thing. I was clearly wrong. This game was never in doubt. I mean, this was 19-7, 10 minutes into the game. Purdue had a 10-point lead quicker than Lance Jones could jack up another uncontested three that hit the side of the backboard. So, like, they're really, really good. Zach Edey did his thing. I don't like antagonizing you. I just want to say, like, this is the least I've enjoyed watching a game in college basketball this season, having to root against Purdue. I don't ever want to do that again. That sucked. So, in your honor, Purdue fans, I'm wearing the Purdue shirt. It's the first time I've busted it out since last time I was in Mackey Arena. And also, I'd like to just make a quick toast. I'm going to drink a fine little lager here. Cheers to Purdue. Great win. Cheers to your fans. You were the best team in the country. You did what the best team in the country should do. And you went in to a home dog's house, and you made sure that wolf was dead. That's what you did. Cheers, Purdue.
Purdue fans, take that as disrespect that Greg is cracking a Coors Light for you guys because he's a Miller Lite guy.
Yeah, I've been a Coors Light guy for a while now. Again, you've canceled your last 2 trips to the Waddell household due to sickness, just like you canceled a couple Purdue recaps earlier in the season.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, last Waddell household visit, I was prevalent. I was there.
Hey, we're there. You were there. You're always there. When you're there, like the usage is high. Trust me. Okay, so a couple just quick hitters on Purdue stuff, and then, like I said, I'm very excited to talk about the Maryland side of this. Zach Edey is himself. He's the National Player of the Year. I thought it was a good Zach Edey game. I don't think it was a great Zach Edey game. I don't think they needed anything more than they got from him. He had 5 turnovers. I'm not overly worried about that. Maryland actually has a pretty decent defensive front court. I don't know. I thought this was just Zach Edey being Zach Edey. Like, he's not ever going to play worse than this, and it certainly wasn't a game they needed him to play better.
Yeah, like you said that, this wasn't this game told you a lot more so about Maryland. And I think that's a correct statement because I found out from this game that Maryland is really bad. Like, I know that for a fact. I think it is set in stone. They are one of a couple Big Ten teams that I think should maybe go back and try to spin the block on their ex. While Michigan tries to get Beeline back, I think that, Maryland needs to do whatever they can to get Mark Turgeon back because they scared that man away for something he didn't even deserve to get scared away for. But with that said, Purdue didn't necessarily play like, lights out, I would say. I think that they started out shooting extremely well, and there was portions of the game where when they were putting on that shooting display, you're like, yeah, no one's beating this team if they're going to shoot this well. But I wouldn't, outside of I wouldn't say anyone had a great game in this game. Like, even Zach Edey didn't have a great game. No one had a great game. There was a bunch of good, okay games, basically, is what it was. And that's good enough to get it done against a bad team in Maryland. And honestly, that play from them is good enough to get it done against probably a good amount of handful of teams because they're that good. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But it's just, you can nitpick it all you want and say, like, everyone played good and okay. They went on the road in the Big Ten, and they got to win by double digits.
Yeah.
Like, you feel good about that.
Oh, you feel great about it. I think Purdue fans feel great. And like I said, I want to do all the Purdue praise and discussion with that before I get to Maryland, because when I do get to Maryland, I'm going to sound like I'm diminishing everything Purdue did tonight. The last note I have on Zach Edey is just 23 points, 8 for 13 from the floor, 7 for 8 from free throw. He's automatic at the line these days. It's absurd. 12 rebounds, 1 block, 2 assists. Any other center in the country, including like Hunter Dickinson, who is the runner-up for National Player of the Year, according to the betting books right now, any other center in the country post that line, it's their best game of the month. Zach Edey is like, this might be his second best game of the week. Like, it's so far ahead of every other player. He's so much better than every other player in the country. It's not even up for debate. And it's like, it's staggering for me to actually consider, because I think we take him for granted. Like this, we're talking like this was a meh Zach Edey game. I think all Purdue fans would say that. And he was just so dominant still. It's absurd. Other guys, Braden Smith, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Once again, 4 turnovers. You would like to see those cut down, but like, this is the type of performance from Braden we're starting to see night in and night out against good teams. He's stuffing the stat sheet. He's way more aggressive hunting his shots off of the ball screens and handoffs. I have a theory on how teams need to start guarding Braden Smith that I want to run by you. I think teams are still guarding Braden the way they did last year, where it's kind of like, we dare you to take the shot because we don't want the ball to go to Zach Edey. Like we dare you to take the shot, Braden. You don't want to do that anymore. Like Braden's going to make those shots, and when he gets cooking is when Purdue becomes unstoppable, and he has that shit to him, and he turns the crowd and starts pointing his wrist. Like that's, to me, that's what Purdue didn't have last year, was Braden being like, no, I'll kill you. And this year they have that. And I think teams, the way they're defending him, are almost encouraging him to go in that mode. And I do think there are things teams can do defensively to just like make sure Braden doesn't shoot those shots. I would start doing that and start trying to make Fletcher and Lance beat you instead of Braden.
Yeah, I think that and this year it's been a different story. I think that he's done obviously a better job because Purdue needs it, and because he's capable of doing it, of taking that mid-range shot or taking that shot when defenders go under on him. And to be honest with you, he can get that a lot more. Like you said, really the only thing that stops him from doing that is himself. Like he just passes up shots sometimes when guys go under, maybe because he realizes he has a National Player of the Year down low, or he wants to get other guys involved. But if Braden wanted to, he could go stretches of the game where it's just him, just coming off screens and shooting and making plays. And obviously you can't nitpick it too much, but it's what makes Purdue scary, is that this isn't freshman year Braden, this isn't freshman year Fletch. Like, these are sophomores now. They played a lot of basketball, and then and also they can just play with a whole new swagger, knowing that they got Lance Jones as a 3. Like, that just takes so much pressure off of everybody on the floor and makes everybody a lot better.
Was that a compliment to Lance Jones?
Yeah. Yeah, well, honestly, I had to go back and watch some Braden Smith stuff because I missed a lot of shots, because you just get caught up watching what Lance does as far as like fading to the corner, and sometimes, which gives that space for that open jumper sometimes at the elbow.
Yeah, got it. Okay, let's do the Lance thing. I thought Lance had a good night. He had 11 points. He was 4 for 13 from the floor. That's not great. 10 of his 13 shots came from 3. He shot 3 for 10 from 3. He was 0 for 5 from 3 in the first half. He made 3 in a row to start the second half, then had a couple heat checks late. He did have 4 assists to 1 turnover. And I think most notably, lockdown defender Lance Jones held Jahmir Young to 26 points on 12 for 23 shooting in this game. Lance Jones played well. That's me speaking truthfully. Lance Jones played well. He impacted the game. This game became like out of reach because Lance Jones hit a flurry of threes in the second half. And I don't think Lance made any crazy mistakes on the ball defensively. I don't. Like, he didn't. It's not like he was single-handedly getting his ass bust by Jahmir Young. With that said, I am so sick. I'm so sick of the leaps that Purdue Twitter tries to take to make it seem like this guy's making a bigger impact than he is. And I'm going to call our boy out. I'm going to call him out. I love you, Craig Bowers. I love you. The fact that your tweet pre-halftime in this game was, well, Jahmir Young only has 8 points, and only 4 of those came against Lance Jones when he was on the court, is just such a ludicrous like leap of imagination to try to like make it seem like Lance is having a bigger impact on the game than he is. First of all, like, Jahmir Young being on pace for 16 points is not limiting him. He was 4 for 10. That's not his best, but like, if you watch the first half, the shots Jahmir Young was getting were still good shots. He hunted those more in the second half. Plenty of his scores in the second half came with Lance Jones guarding him, or Lance Jones not being able to guard him and then passing him off to a big man, which essentially turned into a wide open shot for Jahmir Young. I don't know how many times we have to do this. Like, if you're gonna give Lance Jones all this credit in the middle of the game, do it when he hits the 3 threes in a row. Like, that's everybody should be like, damn, Lance, when he starts hitting shots, Purdue's a different team. There's your praise. We don't need to run through walls to praise this guy when an opposing point guard's on pace to have a good game. Like, it makes no sense to me, and it's why you and I are so annoyed with it, because I don't see other fan bases do this with guys. And it's so bothersome to me. And like I said, I love you, Craig. I'm sorry. I love you. Love your work. I watched Boilers in the Stands tonight. It was fantastic. Thought you and Joe did a great job. But come on, folks. Like, come on. Let's stop. Let's stop the nonsense.
Well, you didn't mention his confidence though.
It's why they brought him here, right? For nights like this.
Yeah.
Like,
this is why you don't stand idly by. And when you have a chance to get the second best Saluki transfer in the Big Ten, you jump on that opportunity and you take it and you run through that wall. And it doesn't matter. I don't even want to see any of the numbers that are in the make column for Lance Jones. It's about him being aggressive, and he took 13 shots. That's aggressive. He's confident. That's what they need. That's what's going to help them in March.
okay. I just that one struck a chord with me a little bit. And I'm sorry for calling out my guy, because I want to make it clear, Craig is my guy. I love my guy, Craig. But it just, like, you don't have to, like, it's like they have a quota. Like, they have to go 16 minutes with a Lance Jones tweet every 16 minutes about how good he's impacting the game. You don't have to do that.
Lance Jones could pull out a strap and shoot TKR's big toe off, and we would probably get some tweets about, you know what? TKR, he moves better without that toe. Like 9-toe TKR is great. Thank God that Lance had the confidence to shoot the right toe.
The awareness, right?
And the confidence and the tough and the grit to shoot the right toe off of TKR. What a play.
Two more quick notes from me on Purdue. 9 for 20 from three as a team in this game. If they shoot like that on the road, they're going to win a lot of Big Ten games. That was the thing last year, was like confidence shooting. I mean, look, man, tonight, the very first possession of this game, I thought was a broken possession that kicks out to TKR and he bangs a three. Like, there were other possessions early in this game where Cam Heidi hits a three on a kick out. That was a pretty good defensive possession. Just some timely stuff from guys I don't think you always think are going to make threes. But then, like, you expect Braden and Fletcher to hit a ton. You expect Lance Jones to go 3 for 10. So at the end of the day, this wasn't like a Tom Izzo weird guys made shots game. But if Purdue shoots like this all season, I think they win way more road games than they did last year. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because it's about Braden, Fletch, and Edey. It's about those three. It's about that big three. That the other guys are like, it's an addition, but they really don't matter, to be honest. Like, they matter, of course, because they're on the team and they play roles, but they're role players. Like, you need your big three to step up.
Okay. I mean, look, in this weird sense, it is good that Lance Jones took 10 threes. Like, you want guys that are not going to be unafraid to shoot. But yeah, Lance taking 50% of their shots from three. Maybe not something you want from Purdue every game, but again, he hit 3 in a row at one point. So ignore the other 7 he missed.
He took them.
Last note from me. Thought this was the most consolidated we've seen Purdue's rotation in a while. Maybe that's because they've had a couple bye games in a row where they let everybody play, and Payne was kind of like, you know what, we need the KenPom numbers again. Let's see the dogs back in this game. But with that said, I think it's extremely notable that a couple guys barely played. Miles Colvin played 3 minutes, and that's it. He had a trillion. He did not impact the game. He looked lost defensively. Caleb First, Jr., Caleb First started a bunch of games last year, played 6 minutes in this game. He's essentially not playing when TKR is playing well. He doesn't play. And then Morton with just 12, Cam Heidi with 10. Like, he really leaned on Mason Gillis and the 5 starters in this game. I think that's a good move. Like, I think Purdue should play their best players as much as they can. I just think we're drifting further and further away from that, like, Heidi and Colvin are going to make an impact by March. I don't really think they are at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm fine with it because I truly believe that Gillis is like the useful guy that Paint could use. Like, he's always kind of like, where do I go at the at the 4, or who's going to be the guy to step up at with like Heidi and Colvin. When you have a guy who does all the little things, and I'm not sure what he's exactly shooting from 3 this year, but I would assume it's above 40%. It's got to be. So. I mean, I just think that he has a great glue guy tool in Gillis, and him using him more and with the shrinking of the rotation, I think is good for Purdue.
Yeah. 3 points and 5 rebounds combined for the end of bench guys. So beyond the starters and Mason Gillis, the other 4 that played, Ethan Morton, Cam Heide, Caleb First, Miles Colvin, 3 points, 5 rebounds combined for those 4 guys in 31 minutes. Not exactly contributing in a way that would say these guys need more minutes. So it's just the one thing I would say, like, I really do think it matters for Purdue. I've said it all year. You got to have one of Heide or Colvin that's like an impact player by the time the NCAA tournament gets here. And it doesn't look like we are on pace for that. And it's honestly going to set up for a really fascinating conversation to next year. We were talking about it in our Discord a little bit today, but Purdue's oversigned by one guy. So even like with everybody leaving, with Edey leaving and all the other guys graduating and not taking a COVID year, somebody has to either redshirt or not even redshirt. Somebody has to go to walk-on status or someone has to leave. And it's a 6-man freshman class. That also means they're not going to add anyone from the portal. It would be kind of shocking for a team as good as Purdue that is going to have a junior backcourt of Smith and Lawyer to like not want to add anyone from the portal. And this sets up a broader conversation at some point, but like, I don't understand how Purdue fans can say they're so comfortable with that while also defending Lance Jones this year being such a critical piece. Like, if you think Lance Jones is so important to this team's ability to win, then you should want the ability to go get another Lance Jones this summer. And instead, everybody's like, well, by next summer, it's going to be Colvin Heide time. It's not right now. Are we sure those guys are going to be good in 3 months? Like,
Well, yeah, because Mackey, because Purdue, because Paint.
It's either like you need the impact transfer and you should want that going forward, or you don't. And maybe you should play Heide and Colvin a little more right now if you think they're worth a while. So I don't know. I'm just very confused by that dichotomy. Nice word by me, but we'll have to keep an eye on that going forward. The Maryland side of this quickly, since we spent so much time on Purdue. Here's the argument for not leaning on freshmen. Great segue from what I think Purdue's going to do next summer that might hurt them. Deshaun Harris-Smith and Jamie Kaiser stink.
Yeah.
They are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And Maryland lost Hakeem Hart and replaced him with these 2 guys. And they stink. And they went from a top 25 team in the country to a top 80 team in the country. Nobody else changed. Everybody else is the same guy. But because they're 2 freshmen that were supposed to be ready to contribute in some fashion, can't do anything. They're horrible. That's crazy to me. And Deshaun Harris-Smith at this point, I just feel bad for him because Willard has to keep playing him. And this is the worst starting guard I've seen on a Big Ten team in 10 years.
Yeah, it's so bad that call it a cop out. I blame Maryland. I watched Deshaun Harris-Smith play a lot of games. Okay, like in high school, in the Peach Jam, and all that. I don't even recognize who this dude is, and it could be confidence issues. It could be a lot of things, but I promise you, he is not this bad. He isn't. Like I refuse to accept that he is this bad. Now maybe down the road I gotta accept it, but I can't. I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that this is the same guy that I watched in high school and in AAU, and I know that it's completely different. The Big Ten's different. College basketball is different. That's a given. But still, at the same time, goddamn, like I don't even recognize my guy.
Yeah, it's just sad. It truly is. But like, man, like Purdue was just flat out leaving him open, like so disrespect, and he can't shoot at all. And honestly, it's not even shoot. He can't dribble. He can't go right. When he does dribble, even if he's going left, he doesn't do anything with it. Like he looks as uncomfortable as I feel when I play pickup. Like I'm a 2 dribble guy. I don't even try. And he looks so terrified. Even if he gets a step on his guy, he's not doing it to create a shot. He doesn't know where he's going. It turns into turnovers. Nobody on this team can shoot. Julian Reese is a disaster. I mean, talk about a total no-show. From a guy averaging 14 points, he goes 0 for 4 from the floor. I mean, I get Zach Edey's good. You're on your home court. You're a guy that was supposed to be like a potential all Big Ten player. Like, how is it acceptable for Julian Reese to go 0 points and 0 for 4 against the number one team in the country at home?
Yeah, I mean, while this whole time you're struggling too, like you're watching your team out there struggling and you're taking 4 shots. Like
I
that's just
I don't know. I don't know, man.
I'm so disappointed in Maryland bass. It literally watching them is what I imagine. Like a couple Christmases ago, I watched my little cousin try to or break down basically or have a mental breakdown because like their Xbox wasn't working. But then I figured out why it wasn't working for him because he was using PS5 controllers. Like that's what watching Maryland feels like. It just feels like you're trying to play a game with a game system controller that's not the one for the system. It's ugly. It doesn't work. And all the meanwhile, Willard's just cashing checks and putting on nice suits for games and smiling, saying, "Hey, way to go at it, Paint." See you
Yeah,
next.
I joked about it where it's like Indiana and Maryland are both historically bad shooting teams, but Indiana knows they can't shoot, so they don't shoot, right? Like they just pound the ball through Malik Reneau and Mackenzie Mbako and Kalu Ware, and they just like rotate in a triangle in the paint and score in the paint because they know they're good at that. Maryland doesn't know they can't shoot. Like I think Kevin Willard just claps and takes sips of coffee on the sideline, just like it's going to go in next time. Keep going. Keep like it's not. It's never going to go in. These guys can't shoot. So it's infuriating to watch. I think this team's cooked, man. I don't know what they're supposed to do. And at the same time, like this is why the takeaway for me from this game has nothing to do with Purdue. I don't think we learned a thing about Purdue in this game. And honestly, it's going to sound bad because I think a lot of Purdue fans are very happy with this result. I don't think Purdue should be super happy with this performance. With as bad as Maryland played, Purdue could have won this game by 30. And I know there was like the weird Fletcher flagrant call that gave him a couple points, but like that was one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen. It was mostly self-induced. Like we said, Purdue was leaving Maryland guys wide open. Jameer Young did get whatever he wanted in this game. It's not like Purdue limited him very much. So, to me, I talked about it from the cover perspective. I probably sound bitter just because I lost the bet, but like Deshaun Harris-Smith and Julian Reese normally combine for 22 points a game. They combined for 2 points tonight. That's 20 points less than their average. You lost a game by 14. You missed a cover by 8 points. Like I can't get 10 points combined from DHS and Julian Reese. And if we do, Maryland covers in this game. Like I think it was the right play. And I know this isn't about my bet, but like I think the takeaway from this game for me is like as horrible as Maryland played, they actually weren't that far off from a result that wouldn't have looked that bad here. And I don't know what that says because Purdue's the best team in the country, and we don't think Purdue played great tonight, but it's so frustrating because Maryland just shot themselves in the face for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean they're really bad. They're
So
so
bad.
bad. I can't believe I feel stupid myself saying that I thought like they could, back against the wall like type. No, this team they're cooked. It's gonna get worse for Maryland. It ain't gonna get better. Just let that be known. Like this Big Ten, I feel for Maryland fans, it's gonna be a struggle to watch. And I give you my thoughts and my prayers.
Yeah, it's impossible. All right. Any final words?
I just hope that in 2024, everyone in life can approach just every day with the confidence level that Lance Jones has.
All right. Secondary cheers. You know what? You deserve it. This is the number one team in the country, and I can't wait to be back on your bandwagon as soon as physically possible. Purdue, congrats. Big Ten road wins hard to come by. Big one this Friday. We'll have a preview up. Purdue, Illinois. By the way, I think we should do a view deal with our viewers because at this point, Purdue and Illinois is like our 2 biggest viewerships, I think. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I think if we can get 15,000 views on the Purdue, Illinois preview, you and I should have to do something ridiculous.
Comment down below what you think we should do.
I have an idea for you just quickly.
What?
Have you seen the video going around of the guy who's running on a treadmill shooting at a basketball hoop.
Yeah.
I want you to do that until you make 100 shots.
How's that even possible to do?
We can set it up. I'll rebound for you, but I want to see you run like at a 3.0 on a treadmill until you make 100 shots.
Okay, first of all, 3.0, I'm walking.
You sure about that?
Are you good on treadmills?
How is it possible to be bad on treadmills?
I'm saying, well, that comment right there, walk on a treadmill is
You're right.
3 to 3.5.
No, you are correct.
Yeah.
Not a math podcast.
Yeah. I would be there forever too, by the way. So that'd be nice.
All right, noted. Well, we'll think on it, but if we can set a view record, I'd like to do something stupid like that. Congrats, Purdue fans. We'll see you for the Illinois preview later this week.